to For the Love of Idents,
the show where we review Idents past and present. Today we're heading all the way to 1987, and we're now heading to a section of the BBC, which is now known as CBBC and CBeebies, but at once upon a time was known as Children's BBC. It still is CBBC, Children's BBC, but now, as we know it, it's now called CBBC for short, because in 2002 CBBC launched, and CBeebies launched their own channel on the same day. But once upon a time, you used to be able to watch CBBC, Children's BBC, between adult programs, and normally, in a lot of documentaries, this is documented, which is one of the best things about Children's BBC, is that the kids would know some of the world's news due to John Craven's news round before the adults did. And that is documented many times across documentaries when they mention news round, but it's brilliant. And that's the power of Children's BBC. ITV at the same time, in a similar sort of vein, had Children's ITV, CITV, but we'll be reviewing them idents in a later episode in the second series. But first, without further ado, here is the Children's BBC idents. Enjoy! There you go, that is the Children's BBC ident. We've all noticed the key issue there. So let's talk about the negative first, because it's not really oh, that's awful negative, it's more of a, oh, it could have done even better, a feedback. So, the ident ends, and then it just ends for a good few seconds, and then, even though it's still doing the animation of it looking like it's active, the music's then stopped, and it's weird. You can tell that the music is the thing that's relying on it here, because when you look at it, when you watch it through, so you've got the CHILDRENS Children's BBC. You've got that, and then for the rest of it, you're stuck looking at this section, and it's like, well, that's really nice, really clever, that stands out, but then it's the music, and you're thinking, is there anything else we're going to see visually? The music is really nice, the music is really good, but I just think that it's sort of lacking more interaction visually on the screen. So CHL, you go through it, and you get all that, and then once that's done, you've just got that moving. It's like, is there something else we can do? It's 33/34/32 seconds, depending on which version you've looked at. And I like the colour scheme of the black background, I'm going to say bluish colour on the word children's, and then the yellowish outline drawing on the BBC that looks like it was a doodle. Again, it looks like I think they were trying to go off how a child would draw the word BBC. I get it. Do I like the ident? Now that's the question you have to ask yourself. You have to ask yourself, and you have to ask me, so we all know that we're on the same playing field. I personally liked it. I think it's quite good. There's other children BBC idents that are better. I grant you, there is a few. But I think the music is the bit that, for me, sort of saves it, because the more you look at it, so at this bit, which is a static section, but it's trying to emulate a doodle, and I think that with it being 34 seconds, it gives enough time in the beginning to have the ident before, if you need it, a continuity announcer to talk. And I think that that's what good about the BBC. They're very good at doing visually nice idents, musically nice idents, and they're also very good at striking the balance between the image, the music, and then what was going to happen next, which probably sometimes was voiceover slash talking. Continuity announcer. The thing that lets it down, really, is that how, I don't know what's the best way to word this, but it's how the static it becomes quite quickly. I think that's what's the key thing, that everyone's going to be able to say that is the only issue they've got with it. Everything else is positive, it's just the staticness for quite a while, even though it's not really technically static due to the BBC moving. It's not technically static, but it still is practically static. And I personally, from my experience of trying to emulate an ident, they are quite tricky, especially in 1987 when technology of that kind, even though Walt Disney had been making Disney films for years before, the style in general is still its infancy. But here's the thing you have to really think about when you think about it. Is it in its infancy? Is it not just, and bear with me on this one, it's not just the animation that's in its infancy, it's the technology that we've got in 1997, because it won't be necessarily the exact same animation technique which is images physically that it was when in Walt Disney. It might have been. I could be wrong on that. If anyone knows, please do get in touch. So I can't really say that I've not got an issue with the animation, because when you watch the animation and you watch it, you have to think, this isn't now, this is 1987. You're looking at it now thinking, what's wrong with it now, and how would you improve if, say for instance, there was an anniversary coming up of Children of the BBC, or an anniversary of something else coming up. You want to then look at it and go, well, how do you improve it for future use? But really, I think his music is timeless. It's the type of thing that you'll always recognise, because there is a few idents that have a similar music to it. So the music similarly is quite similar in all instances, and that is not the issue, because having similar music means that the channel will be memorable more. So with TV theme tunes, obviously having the same theme tune, you hear it in another room, you run in and you like, yes, we program them, that's fine. But this is in between the programs. This is on a non-advert channel, the BBC, that require the license fee for UK holders. And I think that what they've done, they probably didn't have a lot of budget to do it. That's what we got to think. I think what they've done with the budget and with the time is both exceptional and impressive. My favourite bit of the ident is the beginning bit, right? Everyone's going to say, is it the beginning bit? And I'm going to say, yes it is. It's 100% the beginning bit. It won't be any other bit, because the rest of it, the music. So I think what redeems it in its sense is the music, and I think that the whirlwindness of it is another thing that helps it, because it's, you really, really analyse it, which I'm going to do right now. This C here is the important letter in the BBC, because it's more important than seeing children's. It's because this is the element that hold the whole thing together. This is the element that says, this is the ident, we're going to use it, we're going to do something that's slightly off-putting. Look, it's a whirlwind, and watch, it's the sea. So you can tell how important it is, because it's a whirlwind, it's, whoa, children's, bum 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 bum. It's now a sea, and it makes it 10 times more important than you or I will ever know. So if you think about it, on that point, this is genius. Because no other item, apart from Channel 4, will ever utilise the main knowledgeable sense of it. So with Channel 4, it breaks apart and then forms back to the form. With this, it wasn't really anything before. You're sort of reading the world's children, and you're wondering where the BBC is going to come from. Then it formed it with that, with a little tornado. I'm going to call it a tornado, is what I'm going to call it. Because I think calling it a tornado is the best answer you're going to get on what I think it is. Because when you look at the way they've drawn it, you can see some wind elements. So it's trying to represent that it's a gust of something. And I think a tornado is the only thing that I can think of that could possibly look like a sea. I don't live in America, so I've never really seen one up close. I don't think many people in America have ever seen a tornado up close either. I'm not saying that. So looking at it from an aspect of really detailing analysing, going, that element, that sea's really nice. I really like the font. This is another thing we wanted to mention that I don't think gets mentioned quite enough. The font is brilliant. I like the font. I love the font. It's amazing. It's blocky. It screams, with children's BBC, we're going to give you excellent programming and excellent broom cupboard. Yes, because where would you be without the broom cupboard? Ed the Duck, Gordon the Gopher, Otis the Aardvark, Roland the... Well, not Roland the Rat, but I was good name for the puppets from that, from them backwards. And I think that CBBC and Children's BBC have always had the best. Not so much in modern times, really, have they had things that people will remember as stand out because of, obviously, the people that are trying to remember these things and have them stand out are now over the age, so they probably wouldn't have seen the newer items. But I think Children's BBC have always had gorgeous, beautiful, outstanding items, and I think this proves it. It shows it, it proves it, and it says, look, we're Children's BBC. We might not have enough, we might not have the same budget as adults telly, as a BBC, ITV or Channel 4, but really, we've got enough budget to do some incredible things. And a lot of programmes were and still are incredible from that tenure. And you look back at it and you really think, wow, what a brilliant thing. And even when you watch it several times on a loop, you're thinking, it gets better and better. And so what I want to show you, and what I want to talk about now that I'm showing it up, is that and I can zoom in, and it's the lettering. And even though this might not be the best quality version of the ident in itself, but you look at it and think, yes, you can sense what they are, and the small little details, and the way that it's drawn is perfect. Each line signifies something that is perfect. And I think that in itself is the key thing that helps save it, because it's immaculately drawn, it's beautiful, the colour's good. It's just the longness of silence after the music stopped. And I think having the music just keep going slightly too long, I think that's only ever so slightly. Not massively too long, but it's only ever so slightly too long. So I think shortening it would have made it slightly better. And that's not a big criticism at the end of the day. It's only a short criticism on that, because it's not really a big deal. Now you look at it and you would find, someone else would find a bigger issue with it. But because I love all items, there is a few items that I think they're really boring, but not many. When I say a few, that's probably only 2 or 3. That's not many out of thousands of items from the UK and around the world. That's not many at all. And you have to really think about that. Is it many? No, it's not many. And so, there we have it. That's another wonderful episode of For the Love of Idents. Bye-bye!